What's going on, wrestling fans? It is IC Fall, and welcome to 10 Count right here on Wrestling News Co. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button for all my interviews that air on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. On today's episode, though, I am talking to one half of Cryme Tyme, JTG. We talk about the unfortunate passing of his tag team partner, Shad Gaspard. We talk about how did the name Cryme Tyme even get invented. So much meat on the bone, and let's jump into today's episode right now. I just want to start from the beginning. Like, how did you get into wrestling? A friend, a family member, channel surfing?
Man, I got it through it. Both my parents were wrestling fans.
Wow.
My mom is still a diehard wrestling fan. When WWE or WWF at the time used to run in New York City like once a month or every other month, she was right there. And she had her nosebleed. I think every once in a blue moon she might got like good seats, but we always sat in the nosebleeds. But I enjoyed it. I was in the building. I felt the energy of the WWF universe at the time, and it got me hooked. And then from there, I started my journey on my 18th birthday. As soon as I was legal to train, I was in the ring on my 18th birthday, and that started in North Carolina. I was there for 6 months, and then I eventually got to OVW, and that's where I got my start.
Wow. And then down there, I'm assuming that's where you met on your shirt. I can see him right now. Shad Gaspard. So that's where you guys eventually became friends.
That's exactly where we met. And the funny thing is that we might have crossed paths a lot in Brooklyn because we were in the same neighborhood.
Oh.
We kind of knew the same people. I'm pretty sure I saw Shad, but we were different age limit. We hang out in different crowds.
Yeah.
We had so much in common when we got to Kentucky. Like it has to be obvious that we're going to be friends.
Right. You plucked from New York to all the way to Kentucky, and I assume there's some sort of bonding there because you show up in a place that you're not familiar with. You bump into someone who you're like, oh wait, we're from the same place. We didn't run the same circles, but we do know each other. So let's get as close as we can to each other, so we have a friend, I guess, while we're in the trenches.
Yeah, you definitely were in the trenches. That's the perfect word. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. It's interesting because Cryme Tyme, the tag team that was eventually formed with you and him, it's so funny because people could go look at it two different ways. One, Cryme Tyme, oh man, what a great tag team, positive role models. And then you're like, yeah, but their name's Cryme Tyme. Like, they're out there doing crime.
Let me give you a little behind the scenes story about the name Cryme Tyme. So that wasn't the original name. We were in the office for about an hour or two, just going over names, and then the copyrights, trademarks, a lot of the stuff that we really wanted, it was already taken. Oh. So we just kept playing around with different words. And I one time, one of the writers threw Hoodie Nation, and me and Shad looked at each other like, let's go back to the drum boards.
Yeah. Hoodie Nation doesn't sound like two black men. It sounds a little worse, a lot worse.
Yeah, it sounds really bad.
Yeah.
And then we drew like a circle, and then we started drawing, like, I forgot what it's called, when you like a think bubble. Like we started, okay, what do we do? What is Shad Gaspard and JTG? What do you guys do? Like, we from the hood, we do blah blah blah. What Vince really wanted, what was his what he told us, that he wants us to be baby face heels. So you guys are going to be committing crimes and getting away with it, but we're not going to have you keep it because that's going to set a bad. We want you to give it away. He was like, oh, right, okay. So it's kind of like
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, exactly. That's exactly what he said. He wanted us to be like Robin Hoods. And we were like, all right, well, we can't keep this stuff because that's going to be a negative image. We have to have fun and get the crowd engaged. And then after Shad was like, Cryme Tyme. And then I looked at him, I repeated it, Cryme Tyme. We all started saying it over and over again, Cryme Tyme. Let's see if it's taken. We went trademark. Hey, we got to spell it like this though. If you spell it like that, we get away with it. And then, that's how we got the name.
Wow. So the thought bubble process gave you Cryme Tyme. Again.
And Shad said it out loud. He's Cryme Tyme. And then we all just looked at each other and we were like, okay, that could work.
Again, positive aspect. Like Robin Hood, Robin Hood is obviously doing bad things to bad people. Cryme Tyme was like, I'm going to go to this convenience store and rob people, but give it out and stuff. I think it's just so funny. But it's like I completely understand that you're good guys. Like there's no like, oh, they're bad guys. They're doing bad things. It's more
Yeah,
like it's just like, oh, look at their demeanor. Like they're
yeah,
not acting as if they're doing something terrible. They're
yeah. That's what.
actually
And we used
having
to
a
get
good
in
time.
trouble. Yeah, we used to get in trouble for not smiling. It's like we had to look like we're having a good time.
Yeah.
Because what Vince wanted to do was take away that negative stereotype of African Americans and that demeanor in street clothes, saggy pants. Take away the mean, like give them a positive what you call it, image. So
Yeah.
if we weren't smiling, we were getting yelled at. Make sure you're having a good time, smiling. You guys are upbeat. I'm like, okay, boss, we got you.
Yeah, more smiling. I got it. I got it. Interesting. It's just so funny. Though there's a couple big moments of Cryme Tyme that stick out in my brain. The one when you guys teamed with John Cena, and it was on Raw, and it was just like one of the. It felt like it was one of the biggest moments in Raw in the past, decade, 2 decades, because for so long it felt like it was a John Cena show. So if you were
Yeah,
allowed into the John Cena segment, you suddenly were, Cena dust
somebody. Yeah.
yeah, the Cena dust was dusted on top of you. Instead, I'm like, oh, Crime Times with John Cena here. Like, this looks good. And I feel like they didn't really build off of that momentum. Like, did you ever feel like Crime Time was like tag teams were just looked at as fillers?
Yeah, in some point in my career, at one point we were the focal point, the
Yeah.
main tag team, and then I don't know if you read my book or not, but sometimes you get into a little backstage trouble, and that could change the timeline of your career of your career.
There you go.
So yeah,
A little tidbit of your book, then. So if people want to hear I guess the full story, buy his book. But it's interesting that just doing something wrong once will get you put in the doghouse.
oh yeah, you'll be walking around with this thing we call heat, like a black cloud hovering around you, and it's like the cooties for adults. We call that heat in the in the wrestling industry, and you don't want heat.
But yes, eventually Crime Time would get Lita's clothes and her panties and her bra and selling it to the audience. And Lita, Amy, she eventually would go on to do other things, but she's been on a podcast and said like that was bullshit. Like she did not know that was going to happen. That's what
Yeah,
she
we didn't know what was
says.
gonna happen either. Yeah, we
Okay,
didn't
so
know.
so explain how that is even sold to you.
So as soon as we got to the building, when one of the writers came to us with a script and like, oh, you guys are gonna have some fun tonight. Like, oh, okay, what we doing? And he kind of broke us down. I mean, Shad kind of like it sounded like fun, but it was on the end of Lita. It was like on Lita's back. I'm like, So we talked to her. We're like, yeah, they got us doing this. Are you okay with it? Shad did most of the talking when he was talking to Lita. He was like, are you okay with this? Because they want us to do this. But she was like, cool, do what you guys have to do. It's a job, blah, blah, blah. Have fun. And we're like, all right, we got your blessings. We got Lita's blessings. And we went out there and we had fun with the skit.
Sense. But since leaving the WWE, though, you've pretty much reinvented yourself because at the time you were a single star when Crime Time broke up. And what the hell was the point of breaking up Crime Time in the first place? Was it to create single stars out of both of you, and that was the plan?
There was no, they didn't plan it out. If they did, I wasn't aware about. I wasn't aware about the plans. But there were some one or two writers came up. They're like, well, how you guys feel about splitting up? And at the time, Shad and I was so disappointed in the tag team division
Yeah.
because at that time, there was a bunch of tag teams getting title shots before us. Also, there was tag teams they would take two single stars and put them together, make them a tag team, and they will get the titles.
Yeah.
And you have a legit tag team here who is over with the fans. Like the fans like love us, and then we just kept getting overlooked. So we're like, you know what? Let's see how we do this. How we do singles. We actually wanted to do singles if it was done right. And at some point, we also talked about not even being having a rivalry after the split up. Like we just go our mutual way.
Yeah.
You could, we could both, you could be heel, I could be babyface, but we don't have to have a rivalry after every time, a tag team splits. That's like the normal thing.
Yeah.
But they went the direction of us having a feud, so
Yeah.
that's what came out.
And you guys had a
Strap match.
pretty good strap match.
Yeah.
And I again, When you broke up, I was very shocked because you just brought it up. The disappointment in the tag team division. I think that disappointment in the tag team division started in like 2001, and it lasted up until like a couple years ago, maybe. I don't even know if it's. I don't even know. Like you have New Day, Usos, other tag teams. They've done well for themselves, but the division itself hasn't done well for themselves. So same thing with Cryme Tyme. I love that when you said people hate that shit where it's like, two wrestlers who are not getting along, but can they work together to win the tag team titles? But then there's Cryme Tyme over here being like, hello, every time we come out, the crowd is going crazy for us, dancing with us, partying with us. But yeah, let's do the will they, won't they work together?
Yep. Always work.
But you stuck around, Shad really didn't stick around. So I guess
he got released in 2011, 10 or 11, and I got released in he got released in 10, and I got released in 2014.
Right. So that's quite a distance between careers. But like I was saying earlier, though, since you've left, though, you have reinvented yourself. So like, tell me about this process, because it must be weird living outside. It's been a long time, but living outside of like a WWE bubble when you first get out.
To be honest, it was easier to adjust because I was in a tag team. I was with Shad, so we both took the. I had my back. Now it's a little. I'm single, so like the road life is a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I needed to. I definitely, when Shad passed away, that really lit a fire underneath me. Because at first when he passed away, then as it started to set in and like reality started to kick in. Because at first it's like so unreal, and then when life gets real, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do with your wrestling career? Like I didn't want to wrestle no more. Like because I knew if I went back to the wrestling, being backstage, they're gonna keep bringing up Shad. At the time I was really sensitive about the situation, so I didn't want to be around people who's gonna keep bringing it up over and over again. And then as time went by, it was like, I just have to accept it. It's like, accept it. You love wrestling, and Shad wouldn't want you to stop wrestling. What Shad would want you to do is even represent the team and go on and headline WrestleManias, be champion, get yourself and get your mind right. So after keeping to myself and sitting in silence, I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this right, and I switched to look up, and I just kept getting different ideas that I kept incorporated into my look. I started going crazy at the gym. And now I'm a main eventer. And
see,
yeah,
I guess a little fire underneath you, but but it was very interesting because 8 years passed between you leaving the WWE and then being at the Hall of Fame in 2022 to honor Shad and the Warrior Award. And how important was that moment for you? Because I've read stories where it seemed like you weren't even supposed to be on stage, and yet
I wasn't.
And then there you are on the stage, and I think it would have been very awkward for fans. But what was your situation? Well, how did your day go that day? Because obviously a lot of emotions must have been flying around.
Yeah, I was just happy to be there. I was happy to see Shad, get honored. I knew I had going there. I knew I was just gonna sit on stage with the talent. I thought that was kind of weird, but I didn't say anything. It wasn't my time. That was Shad's time, and I don't know what plans they had, so I didn't want to intrude or anything. So I just, let me just be here for the moment. And then I don't know if I can say his. I don't want to get heat for saying his name, but because he's had a ton of heat right now. John Laurinaitis, he's the one who originally hired me. We talked, we power out for a little bit, and he asked, "So you do anything tonight?" I'm like, "No, I'm just here. I'm just sitting on stage." He was like, "You're not doing anything?" He gave me that look like, "You're not doing anything?" And he was like, what would you do if I wanted to get you involved? Like what? I was like, I could do the Cryme Tyme handshake with Shad's son, when I could escort him out. Like he was like, all right, let me get back to you. Let me work on something. And then the show started. I was already sitting in the stage, and I kind of thought it was a wash because I know that WWE likes to rehearse stuff before you do it live on TV. So I was like, okay, we're not doing it. I sit down, the show started, and then I get a tap on the shoulder, and they're like, they want you to escort. I'm like, oh, we're gonna do this. And then but prior to that, I kind of like gave Araya, that's Shad's son. I showed him the handshake. We went over about 1 or 2 times just to make sure, we don't fumble the ball when we if we do get
Yeah.
the opportunity. And we got the ball and we hit a touchdown. We did it. He nailed it.
Wow. That again, I think first off, shocking that you weren't going to be included in the process. I just think you're there. Why not? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yet, John Laurinaitis, I'm not going to talk about him and bury him or anything, but obviously him hiring you and then him looking out for you. He saw
Yeah.
you there and said, "Hey, man, you're not doing anything." Like, even I'm shocked as well, and I'm glad that he probably talked to you that day and set that all up. But before that situation, like when you got the phone call, like, "Hey, we want you just to be on the stage, like just to sit and watch."
I didn't even get a call from WWE.
Would you sneak in?
No, I didn't get it. I didn't sneak in. I was invited by Shad's wife.
Okay.
Yeah. I was invited by Shad's wife. Shad's wife invited me.
This is even more awkward. If he, I am just so baffled. Like, you have me. Usually, I have a word for everything. This is like mind bending to think, "Oh, hey, we're gonna honor."
It was a busy weekend. Maybe it was overlooked.
That isn't.
I don't know, but I was
No.
there.
You can keep smiling all you want, but I that doesn't sound right to me. It sounds like someone didn't want to acknowledge the presence of how Cryme Tyme was such a well-oiled machine and then got fumbled. And so if bringing you up might bring some thoughts of like, "Oh, this is great for Shad," but like, what the hell happened to Cryme Tyme? Like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I have no idea, or or you weren't thought of. But like, wouldn't you think personally that you would be? So when his wife calls you,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh yeah, of course I'll be there." But did you put the phone down and go, "Well, why's the
Why did
phone
they call me?
call? Yeah, what's going on here?"
Of course I did. But with me, I don't like to go straight to the negative. Um, I mean, I said to because I didn't want to. I had so much stuff going on. I didn't let stuff. I don't like to let stuff like that ruin my day or jump to conclusions. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, maybe they reached out to his wife because maybe they didn't want to reach out to everybody, and she would be the person to litigate the tickets or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. It could have bothered the average man, but I'm not the average man. I don't like to let stuff bother me at all. I don't.
I wouldn't say the word bother. I would just be like puzzled.
That's what they see with that company. You don't know. I don't even. They do stuff that I don't understand. Sometimes they do stuff they don't even understand. I don't know.
Yes.
That's not my business. That's their company. They're gonna run it how they want to run it. And yeah, I'm gonna run my life how I want to run it.